Hello, you beautiful nerds. My name is Kubits, and I'm bringing you the first episode of Best of the Nexus, a new series featuring mods that maybe you hadn't heard of before, or just the best of the best. There are certain mods in the Nexus that I feel like I can't have out of my load order. They're extremely well made, and I would recommend them to pretty much anybody. The first of which is a very simple mod with a lot of good detail. Rustic Clothing, simply put, is a retexture of all the clothing in the game. However, just saying that is doing it a disservice. It is by far, perhaps, the best retexture I've ever seen for Skyrim. The difference between vanilla clothing and rustic clothing is really out of this world. Now, I'm a bit of a texture nut. When it comes to graphical stuff, the first things that I notice are usually the textures, and if textures look ugly, then it pulls me out of the entire game. Skyrim's textures weren't super ugly when the game came out, but now they're definitely aging. One of the most noticeable textures is the clothing. While you're playing the game, you're interacting with NPCs, you're talking to them for extended periods of time. You have to stare at their clothing, you have to stare at their face. The textures on their clothing are impossible not to notice. The difference between vanilla and rustic clothing is night and day. Now, if all this mod did was retexture the clothing, just make it a slightly higher resolution, then this mod spotlight would be over right now. But rustic clothing adds a lot more detail. It's tiny things, it's small things, it also adds a couple features, but in my opinion it really sets itself aside from all the other retexture mods. I obviously can't show you every single retexture. There's tons and tons of clothing in the game, but I'm going to do my best to show off just a little preview of what this mod has to offer. Now, as you can probably tell already, what it changes isn't just simply making it higher resolution. This mod adds a lot of detail. You can particularly see it in the mage's clothing and in the royal clothing. In my opinion, this is fantastic. In fantasy genre, I've always felt like wizards were attached to a certain level of opulence. This mod definitely projects that. It doesn't go over the top. The colors aren't obnoxious, but it is very detailed. The wizard clothing just looks really beautiful. And I know that now that you're looking at this stuff, you're kind of noticing something in particular. You're probably noticing that the colors look a lot prettier than they do in vanilla. And that is definitely the case. In my opinion, I think that the color choices for this mod were really fantastic. If you can't tell already, I really love this mod. There's a lot of really careful artistry going on. This mod has a lot of soul and a lot of care and a lot of detail. As another example, this mod author is actually continually updating the mod. As of making this video, the last update was on July 21st, which happens to be the day that I'm recording this. Gamwitch isn't just looking at vanilla textures and saying, okay, let me remake those except in a higher resolution. Gamwitch is looking how to enhance the clothing that already exists in the game. One of my favorite additions in this mod that's somewhat recent is the inclusion of clothing for children. Now, I'm a huge fan of the RS Children overhaul. I think it's really fantastic. The unfortunate thing about the mod, though, is it conflicts with a lot of mods. One of those mods includes Requiem, which is a must-have in my personal load order. The nice thing about rustic clothing is it actually offers up kind of a half solution to the problem of vanilla children. Yes, they're going to keep their potato faces, but they have a lot better clothing. Not only is it better, but it's also diversified. I really hate almost everything about vanilla children, to be completely honest with you, and I really know I'm not alone. I hate their stupid potato faces, I hate their stupid voices, but most of all, what bugs me is, why are you wearing t-shirts? All of you are wearing t-shirts. All of you are wearing the same outfit. There's like 3 different versions. It's not even a good outfit. It doesn't even look right. I don't want to rag on Bethesda or anything. I know that they only have a limited amount of stuff that they can put in the game. But why? Why is it a long t-shirt? It just looks ugly. It just looks bad. Rustic Clothing actually fixes this. It makes the children clothing look a lot more similar to the clothing that the NPC adults are wearing. It adds a lot more detail to them, but also makes them unique. These adaptations of children's clothing are fantastic. It's about all I have to say about it. I'm not sure what the next detail is going to be, but I can tell you that you should keep up with this mod and absolutely download it. I truly think that this is bar none the best clothing mod. Textures don't matter to everybody, but they definitely matter to me. Maybe this doesn't speak to you if you don't really care about textures very much, but to me, this mod made a huge difference, and that's with already using retexture mods. Gamwitch is already done with the base game, so basically that means that they just have to do the DLC. As far as I can tell, they're partly done with Dawnguard, but haven't yet started on Dragonborn. I'm really excited to download the Legendary edition of the mod. And on top of that, I hope that the mod author keeps adding little details here and there because I think they're really fantastic. I mean, seriously, I love details. Do you guys not know that by now? I mean, geez, pretty much half the mods that I do are about detail. That's what I think is really fantastic about modding, is that you can take something that's a really simple concept and just go above and beyond with it. I'm really excited to do this series because I want to bring more attention to mods that I think are underappreciated. I also want to provide you with a set of mods that I think are totally worth your time. Not in a kinda recommend it, not in a I find this sort of interesting, but like in a this is really something you should try. And of course guys, if you download this, please remember to endorse it. I mean, I say that at the end of this, but that's really what it is. It's like liking a video on YouTube. It's just, you know, something you should probably do. And it's something you should definitely do if you really enjoy the mod. If you like this video, then please consider subscribing because this is basically what I do with my time. And if you're interested in another mod that has to do with clothing, then you can check out my common clothes video. It's basically a mod that adds a lot more diversity to the clothing. Again, it's kind of based in little details, but for me, they make a big difference, and if you appreciate this video, then you'll probably appreciate that mod. And on screen here, you can click for the playlist of this series. Basically, if you like this video and you want to see more of these mod spotlights, then just click there, and then you can watch them for like 2 hours or 3 hours, or I don't really know how many of these I'm gonna make. We'll see. But hey, if you came here late, then give it a go. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.